Welcome back to the Craig Collects channel. Hello, my name is Craig and I am a collector. And just when we thought we were done, it's pulled us back in. We are back on the predecimal bronze coins. I realized after having done the predecimal silver coins that I didn't check the bronze for the different mintages. So we're going to go through today, pull out ones which are minted in different locations, have a look at the differences of mint marks and stuff on them, and see if we can find any error coins. And if that doesn't take all that long, we'll go and see if we can find any error coins on the predecimal silver. Let's get to it. Alright, I've been through and sorted out all the different mints on both the half pennies and the pennies. We're starting off with the half pennies. What we're going to do is we're going to work through monarch by monarch. So starting off with King George V from 1911 to 1936. Now, King George's coins were minted by Ralph Heaton and Son in Birmingham, by the Calcutta Mint in India, by the Royal Mint at Tower Hill in London, and also minted in Melbourne and Sydney. So we're going to have a quick look through these, and I'll stick details on screen of what's what. Going to jump in now to King George VI in Melbourne, Perth, Tower Hill in London, Bombay in India. So let's have a look at some of those differences in mint marks. There are some differences, and we will have a look at them as we go through. Details will be on screen as to what's what. This is Queen Elizabeth from 1953 to 1964. Now, with the exception of 1959, all of these were minted in Perth, and 1953 is the oddity for Perth because it has the dot after the A in Australia. So this is 1953 and the dot is up there after the Australia. Whereas you'll find 1954 the dot is after the Y in penny, as is all the dots right through, with the exception of 1959 minted in Melbourne, which has no marks at all, and 1955 in Perth didn't have a mark either. Okay, moving on to the 1 penny coins, and this is where things start to get a little bit more interesting. So for King George from 1911 to 1936, coins were minted by Ralph Heaton and Son in Birmingham, by the Royal Mint Tower Hill in London, by the Indian Mint in Calcutta, by the Australian Mint in Melbourne and Sydney, and also by the Perth Mint. Now, this is, as I said, where things get a bit interesting, because you've got the H and the I mint marks. You don't have any mint marks for London minted coins, but the Melbourne and the Perth, and the Sydney for that matter, coins have mint marks all over the place. So on screen here is your 1912 coin minted by Ralph Heaton and Son with the H mint mark under the scroll. But what I found interesting is the one I pulled out in the earlier hunt, which is now in a flip. This one, as you can see, does not have the H mint mark. Now whether this is a weak strike, there might be a little bit of an H there. There may not. Either a very weak strike or it's a difill error. Either way, this is an error coin and is pretty cool. 1919, there are a total of 3 different potentials, all minted in Melbourne. This is the plain Melbourne one. That's next to the Melbourne one with a dot beneath the scroll. And there is a third variant which has a dot above and below the scroll. I do not have that variant, unfortunately. 1920, there is a version with a dot under the scroll, a version which is plain, which is the one we've got here. There is also a version with a dot above the scroll, a version with a dot above and under the scroll, and a version where there is a dot above one of the T's. Fortunately, we do not have that version, but that would be pretty cool to find if we could. Okay, so with George VI, coins were minted in Melbourne, in Perth, and in Bombay. The Bombay minted coins have an I under the bust of George on the back, and the Perth minted ones have several different options. There's a dot after the Y, a dot after the A, or on this 1940 coin, if this is a Melbourne minted coin, if we had the Perth minted coin, you can just make out the faint initials there of KG, that's for George Kruger Gray, the designer of this coin. If this had been a Perth minted coin, there would be dots after the K and the G in that signature. Same here with 1941. This is a bit unlucky, but you can see there are potentially some dots on that side of the KG, but not on that one, or there are on. Look, one of these two has got the dots on it, one of them doesn't. One is Perth, one is Melbourne. This is the Perth one because it has the dot after the Y, so there's actually 3 versions. The dot after the Y from Perth, moving on to Queen Elizabeth from 1953 to 1964. A bit easier here, we've just got Melbourne and Perth minted, although with 1953, the Perth minted coin has the dot after Australia, whereas all the rest of them will have the dot after the Y, and most years are double minted except for 57, 60, 61, 62 and 63, which were all minted in Perth only. As you can probably tell, there isn't much change to the chaos on my desk. Unfortunately, due to IRL work travel this week, I've had to cut this episode here. So yeah, if you enjoyed learning where the different coins were minted and what the different mint marks are, drop a like on this video. If you haven't yet, I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe. Join with the rest of this wonderful community as we hunt through Australian coins. As always, down in the description of this video you will find links to my social media and my email if you'd like to get in touch with me. You'll also find links to Numismatic, which is where I log my coin collection. I'll be back on Tuesday with another 50-cent coin hunt, episode 20. Will we find the ACT Canberra coat of arms, or will the hunt keep going? We'll find out on Tuesday. See you then. Bye.